The love and tragedy of Orpheus and Eurydice. 1. Main characters. Orpheus, a talented musician, and Eurydice, his beloved, are the protagonists of the story. Orpheus is a fascinating figure, not only for his musical talent, but also for his ability to touch people's hearts. He is an extraordinary poet and musician, whose skill with the lyre is of such magnitude that his chords can calm wild beasts and make nature surrender to his melody. Eurydice, on the other hand, represents pure love and beauty. Her presence illuminates Orpheus' world, and their connection is so deep that they both seem like two soulmates destined to be together. Their story is not just a tale of love, it is a reflection of the human search for meaning and connection. When I think of them, I see more than simple characters. I see the essence of what we all desire, to love and be loved. 2. True love. The relationship between Orpheus and Eurydice is portrayed as one of deep and true love. The love between Orpheus and Eurydice transcends time and space. It is not just a fleeting romance, but a union that endures all adversities. They share laughter, dreams, and promises, and this connection goes beyond words. When I remember this love, I realize how important it is to nurture authentic relationships in our lives. True love is the one that transforms us, that inspires us to be better. It is a love that makes us face challenges and believe that, even in the face of difficulties, we can find the light. This is the essence of the love that Orpheus and Eurydice represent, and it is this that we should seek in our own lives. 3. Death of Eurydice. Eurydice dies tragically, bitten by a snake, leaving Orpheus devastated. Eurydice's death is a moment of profound pain and loss. The way she dies, bitten by a snake, is symbolic and cruel. This tragedy is not just an isolated event, but a reflection of the fragility of life. When Eurydice leaves, Orpheus is consumed by grief. He finds himself in a world devoid of color, and his music, once full of joy, now becomes a lament. This experience of loss is something we all face at some point. The pain Orpheus feels at losing his beloved is a powerful reminder of how precious life is and how we should cherish every moment we have with those we love. 4. Descent into winter. Orpheus decides to descend into the underworld, Hades, in search of his beloved. Orpheus's determination to descend into Hades is an act of unconditional love. He is not content to accept Eurydice's death. He seeks the impossible. This descent into the underworld symbolizes the struggle many of us face when dealing with loss. Sometimes it is necessary to descend into our own Hades to find the one we love. Orpheus is not just a hero, he is a mirror of our own courage in facing the shadows that surround us. This journey to the underworld is a powerful metaphor for the determination and courage it takes to fight for our loves and dreams. 5. Flowers of music. Orpheus's music enchants Hades and Persephone, who allow him to bring Eurydice back to life. Orpheus's music is a powerful symbol of hope and transformation. When he plays his lyre, even the darkest beings in Hades surrender to its melody. Music's ability to touch the hearts of the gods is proof that art and beauty have the power to change even the most desperate situations. When I think about the impact of music on our lives, I realize how it can connect and heal us. Music is a universal language that transcends barriers and reminds us of our shared humanity. Orpheus teaches us that even in the darkest situations, beauty can guide us. 6. Forbidden turning point. Hades imposes the condition that Orpheus must not look at Eurydice until they leave the underworld. This condition imposed by Hades is a test of faith and trust. Orpheus must move forward without looking back, trusting that Eurydice is by his side. This prohibition is a powerful metaphor for the importance of having faith in our relationships and our goals. We are often tempted to look to the past, to doubt our choices. However, this story reminds us that in order to move forward, we need to trust in what we have built and the promises we have made. It is a valuable lesson that we can apply to our lives. 2. True love. True love is a theme that resonates deeply in our lives, and when we talk about Orpheus and Eurydice, we are invited to reflect on the essence of this feeling. The relationship between these two characters is a classic example of how love can be intense and transformative. From their first meeting, it is clear that they are not just lovers, but soulmates, linked by a connection that goes beyond the physical. Deep down, we all seek this kind of love, the one that makes our hearts vibrate and gives us the strength to face any challenge. Orpheus, with his musical ability, symbolizes the beauty of art and how it can express deep feelings. The music he plays is an extension of his soul, and this is something many of us can relate to. Who has never been carried away by a song that brings back memories and emotions? Music is a universal language, and Orpheus uses it to communicate his love for Eurydice in a way that words alone could not. It is as if he is saying, "Look, I feel you in every note, in every chord." For him, music is a reflection of his devotion, something that transcends time and space. Eurydice, in turn, represents the purity and fragility of love. Her presence in Orpheus's life is a reminder that true love is not just a feeling, but also a responsibility. When she is bitten by a snake and dies, the pain Orpheus feels is palpable. In this tragic moment, he not only loses his beloved, but also the part of himself that was connected to her. Eurydice's death is an event that resonates throughout his life, and the way he deals with this loss is a testament to the depth of his love. 3. Eurydice's death. Eurydice dies tragically, bitten by a snake, leaving Orpheus devastated. Eurydice's death is a pivotal moment in the narrative that touches us deeply. It does not happen in a grand or dramatic way, but rather in a fleeting and cruel moment, which could be the reality for any of us. Imagine the pain Orpheus feels when he learns that his beloved, the woman who brought light to his life, has been ripped away from him so abruptly. A snake bite, something that seems almost banal, becomes a devastating event. It makes us reflect on the fragility of life and how in the blink of an eye, everything can change. For many of us, the loss of a loved one is an experience that brings with it an immense void. The story of Orpheus and Eurydice resonates with those who have faced grief. I can recall moments when the pain of loss made me question everything around me. Orpheus, with his broken heart, represents this internal struggle that we all face when life presents us with insurmountable challenges. Eurydice's death is not only a personal tragedy, but a reminder that life is full of uncertainties, and that love, no matter how intense, is not immune to these realities. Furthermore, the way in which Eurydice dies is not just an isolated event, but a symbol of human frailty. The snake, often associated with betrayal and danger, represents the bitter surprises that life has in store for us. Her death becomes a catalyst that drives Orpheus to seek the impossible, to descend into the world of the dead. This decision, in itself, is a manifestation of true love and the determination of a man who will not accept loss without a fight. Shut. Descent into winter. Orpheus decides to descend into the underworld, Hades, in search of his beloved. Orpheus's decision to descend into the underworld is a pivotal moment in the narrative. His love for Eurydice drives him to face the unknown and the terrifying. For many of us, the idea of confronting death and the underworld is something that provokes fear. However, Orpheus, with his heart broken and his soul tormented, does not hesitate. He embarks on this dark journey, motivated by the hope of regaining the woman he loves. In deciding to descend into Hades, Orpheus not only demonstrates his courage, but also the depth of his love. He knows that Hades is a place of sadness and desolation, where souls wander eternally in a state of loss. Yet, the thought of living without Eurydice is unbearable. For me, this part of the story resonates deeply. Often, we face challenges that seem insurmountable because of the love we feel for someone. Orpheus's journey reminds us that, through love, we can overcome even the greatest obstacles. Orpheus's journey is marked by his music. He plays his lyre, and its melody echoes through the caverns of the underworld, touching the hearts of all who hear it. This part of the story teaches us that art and music have the power to transcend even the boundaries of life and death. Music, for Orpheus, is more than a form of expression. It is a bridge that connects worlds. This is an essential point. Music, like love, is a life force that connects us to what truly matters. Power of music. Music has undeniable power, and this is especially true in the story of Orpheus and Eurydice. When we think of Orpheus, we cannot help but think of his extraordinary skill as a musician. He didn't just play instruments, his music seemed to have a life of its own, capable of touching the hearts of anyone who heard it. It's interesting how, even in difficult times, music can connect us to deep feelings and take us to places we think are impossible to reach. When Orpheus descended into Hades in search of Eurydice, Orpheus was not only venturing into unknown territory, but he was also using the power of his music to cross the barriers of life and death. Upon reaching the realm of the dead, Orpheus began to play his lyre, and the beauty of his notes echoed throughout the dark caverns of Hades. Lost souls, and even the guardians of the underworld, such as Hades and his wife Persephone, felt the emotional impact of his melody. This demonstrates how music can be a form of communication that transcends words, a universal language that touches the core of our being. I can recall times in my life when music has served as a comfort during times of grief. Like Orpheus, many of us have experienced the power of music to lift us up, to make us feel less alone, even in the midst of sadness. When Orpheus began to play, he was not only asking Hades to release Eurydice, he was expressing all the love and pain he felt, and this emotion was so intense that even the gods of the underworld were moved. 6. The turning point. Hades imposes the condition that Orpheus must not look at Eurydice until they are both out of the underworld. The story of Orpheus and Eurydice is filled with emotion and symbolism. When Orpheus makes the difficult choice to descend into the underworld, he is not only embarking on a physical journey, but also a profound test of faith and trust. Hades, the ruler of the underworld, imposes a severe condition on Orpheus. He cannot look at Eurydice until they are both completely out of that dark realm. This requirement is not only a testament to the strength of Orpheus' love, but also a reflection of the fragility of life and relationships. This moment is pivotal, as it represents the tension between hope and despair. Orpheus, a man who has always found solace and power in music, now finds himself in a situation where his artistic abilities are not enough. He must rely on something beyond his music, something that is rooted in trust and faith. When I think about this situation, I realize that many of us face moments when faith is all we have. It invites us to reflect on how often we are called to trust in something we cannot see. Hades' condition is a powerful metaphor. Sometimes in life, we encounter obstacles that require our patience and resilience. This prohibition to look at Eurydice represents the challenges we face in our own journeys. What does it mean, then, to not look? It can be a representation of the expectations and anxieties we have for others and for ourselves. Many times, we are faced with situations that ask us to keep the faith, even when everything seems uncertain. 7. Forbidden look. The story of Orpheus and Eurydice is one of the most emblematic tales of tragedy and love. Let's delve deeper into this critical moment when Orpheus, after a harrowing journey, finds himself faced with a choice that will change his destiny forever. The prohibition imposed by Hades not to look at Eurydice during her departure from the underworld is an immense emotional burden for anyone who has ever loved. This situation makes us reflect on the trust and faith we have in relationships. Orpheus, a talented musician, has his life marked by the pain of loss. After Eurydice's death, he decides to risk everything for her love. Imagine the courage to descend into Hades, a place that evokes fear and despair. For many of us, facing our own underworlds can seem like an almost impossible task. When Orpheus finally presents himself to Hades and Persephone, he is not only seeking Eurydice's life, but also a way to deal with his own pain. Orpheus' music is his trump card, his voice resonating with the lament of a broken heart. The melody he plays and sings enchants even the gods of the underworld, demonstrating the power that art and emotional expression can have in times of crisis. When he plays, he communicates not only love, but also deep sadness and a desperate desire to regain what he has lost. I have experienced moments where music has brought me comfort and clarity, and I understand how something so simple can have a profound impact on our lives. 8. Tragedy and loss. The story culminates in tragedy, reflecting on the themes of love, loss, and the inevitability of death. The story of Orpheus and Eurydice is a true mirror of the human condition. When we speak of tragedy and loss, we are not only referring to the end of a relationship, but to a profound reflection on what it means to love and ultimately to lose. The relationship between these two lovers is a representation of the intensity of true love, which in turn brings to light the fragility of life and the inevitability of death. When Orpheus descends into Hades in search of Eurydice, he not only demonstrates his determination, but also the depth of his love. This descent is symbolic, representing the struggle we all face in the face of grief and loss. At some point in our lives, we have all felt the need to make sacrifices in the name of love, haven't we? Orpheus' journey is a powerful reminder that, even in the face of adversity, love can drive us to do extraordinary things. Therefore, when we reflect on the story of Orpheus and Eurydice, we are reminded that true love is eternal, even in the face of tragedy. And so, we face life with the awareness that each moment should be lived intensely, because the beauty of life lies in the connection we establish with those we love.